Hey, thank you for joining us on another video here on the Wiseworks Entertainment channel. I'm with my brother, Josh, and we're here to have another
Yep.
conversation about something. Joshua brought this idea to me, and I think we're going to talk about something that we did a lot when we were in Boy Scouts. We did a number of times, and it was spend the night on a what do you call it? Those big ships, those big army
It's an
ships,
aircraft carrier,
aircraft carrier, the USS Yorktown in
Yorktown.
Charleston, South Carolina.
Yep.
And we spent the night there on the ship as a Boy Scout troop a couple of times. It was kind of like a camping trip, but we stayed on the ship.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk
Be-
about this topic. So what are some things that stood out for you, Joshua?
well, I know you just introduced it, but I want you to talk about your experience first, only because you went before me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're older than me, so you went to Boy Scouts before I did. How
Yeah.
long were you in Boy Scouts before I was?
I think I
Maybe
started when
like
I
a
was
year.
11, and you started when you were 11 as well, right?
Well, no, because I remember we're homeschooled. We were
Yeah.
homeschooled, so we were a grade ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the rule for being Boy Scouts is 11 or past the fifth grade, something like that. So
Yeah.
I remember you went in when you were 11, and
And you
then
went in when you were in fifth grade.
yes, because
Was it
I was
fifth
like, I want to
grade?
do this,
Was
and
it truly fifth grade or was it seventh grade? I don't
I
know.
think it was fifth grade. I'm pretty sure it's
Okay.
fifth grade.
All right.
That's right.
It just
So
seems young to me, but all right. That's
um
fine.
so like I want to say you were in it maybe like a year before
Yeah.
I joined.
Yeah. It was probably about a year and a half, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
Um, but I did go to the Yorktown before you. And
yeah.
I I remember, okay, first of all, when we went to the Yorktown the second time with you, I was very excited because I already knew what it was like. I already knew what to expect. I already knew how fun it was going to be. And I was excited that you were going to be there and a number of people. I think maybe Tim wasn't there the first time that I went. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
because he's like a year younger than you, a year
Yeah.
older than me. So
So,
he actually started. I want to say like as when I started
yeah, I
because
think you and Tim started around the same time.
yeah,
We've talked about Tim on this channel before. He was the one that broke, or Joshua broke his arm in a four-wheeler accident with. Um,
yeah,
but anyways, I was excited. Like Tim and you and a couple of my other friends, like Seth, they were going to be there on the trip, and I already knew what it was going to be like, so I was excited. Um,
hmm
and oh man, there's so many things to talk about. I guess one thing that stood out to me that's a little bit strange is that they had like a gift shop before you got out to the boat. There was
now
like a little gift shop in front of that big
because
bridge.
even though it's a aircraft carrier at this point, it's just docked and
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
set
moving
up to be a
anywhere, and
tourist
it's kind of
spot.
yeah,
It's like a
it's
museum.
definitely a touristy
It's like a
area
museum
for
kind of thing at this
yeah,
point. Um, they've built it in a way and docked it in such a way that it's just like a museum ship. Um,
yeah.
But there was like a little gift shop before you go out and get on the ship. And they had all kinds of cool things like little pirate medallions and they had like
Oh
pirate flags
yeah.
and stuff. And I love that. I even have um I don't know, I had so many I wanted to get so many different things. I got like necklaces and I got like the little pirate medallions and that
hmm
look like pieces of eight and I because as we said, we were really obsessed with pirates when we were younger and I
Yeah.
wanted to get a flag so bad, but I couldn't afford one. I didn't have enough money. But
Yeah,
that was
because
one thing that stood out.
we were little poor little croutons.
We didn't have hardly any money to spend, but it was fine. And then once we got out onto the ship, I remember when I walked in, I was blown away when we got there. I was like, wow, that's where we're going. We were walking up to it. It seemed huge. But when you're on the ship, it's so much bigger and
Yeah,
so much more majestic than you can imagine it is.
I remember part of Yorktown. We slept on Yorktown, but then we also took like a ferry out to this small island where like something
Yeah.
historical, Civil War, something like that happened. And um, I remember when you came back, you told me that when you saw the ferry to take you out to the island. You're like, is this Yorktown? And they were like, no, this is not Yorktown. And then they showed you Yorktown. You said it just looked like a city, which they are pretty big, especially to like 11-year-old. So
Yeah,
it
I mean, it did
it
look like a
definitely
it did look very big to me, and
just describing it like a city.
yeah, I had yeah, I was asking about like a ferry or something,
Hmm.
something real small. But yeah, it looked when you walk in, there's like the main hangar, and
Yeah.
they just have all kinds of stuff like airplanes that you can go up, climb up
Yeah,
into,
like
and
really old
everything.
airplanes.
It was really cool. And then you could, go way down into there's like these giant, not mazes, but like museum walkthrough spaces. It kind of feels like a maze where you can just explore the ship in detail. I mean, it was awesome. You could go way down to like the engine places. You can go where the sailors used to like bunk and have their and sleep and whatnot. And there's like all kinds of facts around everything. It's just a very awesome place to stay or just learn about history, but then also to stay the night is really cool.
Yeah,
And we got to stay
definitely.
the night that first time in the captain's hangar, which was very awesome. I
Mm.
think we did again the second time we went, if I recall. I think we did both times. Um,
Well, I mean it's such a big ship that there was like a lot of like I guess a lot of quarters for the
yeah,
captain. I mean
but
captain,
like Boy
but
Scout troops, they would like assign you to certain ones, and we would get like
yeah,
the captain's quarters because of how many people were in our troop. Um, but yeah, so I don't really know what to say. I would almost need more time to think if I can come up with a cool story. But but it what was your first experience when you went the first time?
shoo. Um, I think I remember going with such a high expectation because you like built it up to me
Oh yeah, it was
that
cool.
not to belittle it or anything, but like I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be huge, which it is huge, but like it basically just met my expectations. I wasn't blown away, even though it is really awesome to go.
Hmm.
Um, and I did like that was probably one of the most memorable like trips. We
Yeah.
did a lot of campouts and things like that. So that was one of the trips
Hmm.
that we did that was most memorable to me because it was such a cool thing. Like we got to spend the night on this ship and everything.
Yeah.
And basically, you slept on the ship
Hmm.
and you also ate on the ship. And we as a troop, we like left during the day. We spent there like 2 nights. And one of the
Hmm.
days we left to go do some stuff because it's in Charleston. But I mean, we still spent like a full day just like roaming the ship and just seeing everything, these old planes, and then I think
Yeah.
there was the ship, but then there was also like a small submarine that you could go
Yeah.
into,
They had
and
a number. They had another small like almost boat kind of style ship thing next to it, and then there's also a
yeah,
submarine that was underwater that you could climb into.
yeah, and that was pretty crazy because you're
Yeah.
like it wasn't fully submerged, but like it was enough, and you're
Yeah,
going
it's
down
like the
into it.
entrance level, the top section that you
I
normally
mean,
enter
it's
a
very
submarine in.
tight, very
Oh
small
yeah,
submarine.
submarines
I
are
guess
very claustrophobic.
I
It's
could
almost
only
probably
imagine like being in a submarine for like
yeah.
weeks or a long period of time. That would
Yeah.
just drive me insanity.
I remember once we got I can't I'm sure we probably did this more cuz the first time when I went before you guys,
Mm,
actually the guy who inspired me to initially to get started with filmmaking, his name was Josh, and he was an older Boy Scout in the troop,
yeah,
and the first time we went, I believe it was the first time that I went. It wasn't when you guys went. He brought his little camera that he would make videos on, and
no, that was the second time. If it's what
was
I'm
it the
thinking
second
of,
time?
because I remember I was a part, or I wasn't a huge part of it. I was very small, but like I was there watching them film, and I remember
That's right, because
another
Seth was in
scout.
it. Seth was
Yeah,
in
they
it,
had
and
like a fedora hat and a very cheap leather jacket, and they were like, oh, they were pretending to be like Indiana Jones or something like that.
yeah,
I can't
and
remember
but
everything
pretty much
that went down, but
it was kind of like a vlog. It was kind of a goofy vlog,
yeah, that's definitely what it was.
sort of mock tour guide of the ship, and they would
Yeah.
like do funny things for the camera around the ship, and it was just kind of like this documentary vlog kind of video that he put together. And I think there's two parts to it, and I think you could probably still find it on his Facebook, but you had to be friends with him.
Probably.
And once we had done that, mixed a little bit, like in the morning or the day we get there, we kind of do like the standard tour, not with the tour guide, but you kind of like split up in groups and you're like with a scoutmaster and you're walking around. But once you kind of do
Yeah.
that and you get to your quarters, you get assigned a place, and the scoutmasters are just kind of settling in and doing their own thing, well, then we just had like free range of the ship. I mean, you just get like with a buddy or a couple guys and just walk around and go to different places. So it's a great place to, if you're staying the night and there's not like everybody there, it's a great place to play like hide and seek in, because I promise you it would last for a
That would be
long
crazy.
time. And like at night you could go up on deck where you were allowed to go and like
Yeah.
look up at the stars and everything, and you're just up there with like a bunch of airplanes and stuff or
And then
jets.
I remember at night, part of the just like staying there at Yorktown was you went into this theater and you could watch a movie in the ship. I don't know if that was something originally on the ship. It's probably just for like tourists that they
Yeah, it's
added.
something they added. It's the Tora movie, I believe.
Yeah,
They would play it all the time. I think almost every night or like every weekend or something, on like this little mini theater on the ship, and it's like the old black and white film that they made.
yeah.
Or actually, it wasn't black and white; it was color. It's just
I don't
older.
remember really. It's been so long.
Yeah.
but
What are some fond memories that might stick out for you? And there's something else. I want to talk about the Charleston Bridge a little bit before we finish the video.
oh yeah, that bridge.
But before we move to that, what are some thoughts about the ship that you had? Or
I remember not of really being there, but I remember coming home and just having a really bad experience with the kicking chicken. Do you remember that?
yeah, yeah,
It was just us being little croutons and
being
not
picky.
wanting to conform. We were
Yeah.
just crazy. So we went to this place called Kickin' Chicken, and it wasn't an expensive restaurant, but it wasn't fast food. So they had just like normal priced food
Like
for a
Zaxby's
sit down
prices.
restaurant. Yeah, and for some
It
reason,
honestly probably was pretty similar to Zaxby's.
yeah, like to Zaxby's, but it was a sit down type restaurant. And I remember just like almost getting into a full blown argument with one of the scoutmasters being like, we don't want to eat here. Just like being little crazy crap daddies.
Well, the food wasn't bad, but we just like convinced ourselves that it was bad food and it wasn't worth paying for, and we were just going to be mad because we wanted to be, at the Scoutmaster, because he was making us go to this restaurant that we didn't have any say in going to.
Which he's just being an adult and trying to get us to eat. I mean, we were little
that's
kids.
honestly what he was doing.
So-
He was like, you just need to eat. It doesn't matter. Like, spend the rest of your spending money. And we're like, in order to get anything, we are going to have to spend the rest of our spending money. And it would be like, I remember Tim, he was like, all right, we could spend less if we put our money together and get like a platter of something and we just share it. And I think that's ended what we did because we were so mad about having to eat there. But
Okay, but talk about the bridge a little bit before we finish.
yeah, okay. So in Charleston, South Carolina, they have this really big bridge. That it's kind of famous for. There's like, pictures and paintings. You could probably search it online if you're interested. But it became like a tradition before we were even in Scouts, that whenever they would go to Yorktown, they would at night, drive up to one side of the bridge, and all the troop would just like do like a little mini hike walk across the bridge at night. And it was cool because we always went during the winter, so it was cold when you walked on it. It was real cold and windy, and it was, our scoutmaster liked it because he liked to just get out and do things, but also he liked to look down and like spit off the bridge or pee off the bridge or something. And
Well,
you just
that
couldn't
brings
see.
it to a story.
You couldn't see past like a few feet because it was so dark down below the bridge.
It was very open, and you aren't allowed to pee off the bridge, but
Somebody did it every time they went.
yeah, I mean we always went at night so people didn't see us walking, because they had like, it was a bridge for cars went on it, but they
There's
also
a
had
really
like
big
this,
walkway on both
yeah,
sides.
this big walkway, because they have a lot of like marathons, and people run on it all the
Yeah.
time.
And it's like a
So
big blockade section for people to walk.
yeah, so it was always dark and nobody was really around. So I mean, I remember the time we went, I wasn't a part of it, but after we got back to the ship and everything, hearing about two scouts, they decided to just pee off the side of the bridge. So I wasn't a part of it at the time, so I don't remember a lot, but I just remember they got in so much trouble.
Yeah, I guess.
And actually, famously, one of them, for a while, it didn't stick for a long time, but someone called him, it was like Butter Whiz or something like that. That was his nickname, because he just like, he peed off the side.
It was
He was
like
a
a
real
play
southern
on a
boy.
different. It was
So-
like a play on a different nickname for somebody else, and then
Yeah.
the fact that he peed off. So, but yeah, and I remember Tim was running behind a girl who had headphones in, and almost, I mean, he got like smacked by her because she saw his shadow coming from behind before she saw him, and she had headphones in. He was just trying to run past her, and she thought he was running up on her to attack her or something. But man, there's in order to craft a really good story from the Yorktown trips, we probably need to really think about it, because there's a lot of different areas we can go to. But I do want to end with a recommendation that you go see the Yorktown if you have the means to.
Yeah.
I don't think it would disappoint, and you may get your expectations met, or you might get your expectations blown out of the water. It's really cool, it's really informative, and it's really exciting, especially if you have the opportunity to stay the night on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So is there any final thoughts you have, Joshua?
No, I mean, I like that recommendation to go.
Yeah.
Even if you just go for the day, they probably have like day tours and what. So
Yeah.
I would say do that. Experience new things. So if you've never done something like this before, I would recommend it. It's pretty cool. I mean, it's in Charleston. There's a lot of things you can do in Charleston too. So I mean,
Yep. All right.
so that's
We
the
should
video
close
for
this
this
out.
week. Before we close, I want to ask you to subscribe to this channel.
Yep.
Like every week, and like our Facebook, Instagram, and just give us a follow. Okay. Have a good day.